Welcome back to the 6th episode of the Mindset Connection podcast. We are your hosts, Jennifer Clearwaters and Cindy O'Connell. If you're just joining us, every show that we do, we are showcasing everyday changemakers who are doing extraordinary things in the field of mental health and wellness. We hope that you will enjoy our guests as much as we do and find them just as inspiring. So today we are proud to introduce you to Maryann Rappa. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about her. Maryann is a certified life coach and has been the director of the Sandhills Community Wellness Center in Kendall Park for the past 11 years. She's also an administrator for the Grace Presbyterian Church, which is actually connected to the Wellness Center. So it's a very interesting place. In a previous life, Maryann had worked for AT&T as a project manager and hated that. She was also an HR manager and an administrator in the medical field, but also did not feel like that was her calling. So when she became a certified professional coach, she initially partnered with an interfaith minister, but she also felt that wasn't a good experience, but she got a lot of experience learning to run retreats and events. So all of this led her to where she is now in this magical place for the Wellness Center. Maryann is also trained to be a hospice volunteer and was also accepted into the Peace Corps. She told us this work was a real gift, and she's going to tell you more about the incredible people that she worked with and how they impacted her life. And so we welcome you to the show, Maryann, and we're so glad that you agreed to come.
All right.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
It's an honor. Thank you.
All right. So Jen and I were referred to the Wellness Center by a mutual friend. And when we looked it up, we saw a lot of information. We were very intrigued by it. So tell us about the Wellness Center and how you came to work there.
So I came to work there as a friend of mine actually brought me to the church. And once I attended the church, I never left. So it was a church that was more in line. It's a really good faith community. And the key word to it is community. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for a good community, and I found it. So a few years in, or actually about a year and a half in, the pastor of the church decided she wanted to start a wellness center. And part of that was in the building where the wellness center currently is, there was a dance program in there. They just did very few rentals, just as another stream of income. And the program grew out of it. So they were leaving. So now all of a sudden the church is left with this monumental money that they have to make up. So it was something at the time Pastor Beth always wanted. And so she brought 8 of us to the table who all worked in different parts. I was a coach. We had a primary care physician, yoga teacher, a martial arts person, massage therapist, on and on, right? So 8 of us. And she said, okay, how do we do this? So that was September of 2012. And we opened the doors in March of 2013.
Wow.
So
that was quick.
That's impressive.
It was
very
quick,
impressive,
right? We were very fortunate because the rooms were already there. And so we had to repurpose them, change the carpet and just do that kind of things to make it more welcoming and make it for what we wanted it to be. And you had some people where we kind of didn't know what we were doing, quite honestly, to take on a task like this. And so we figured it out. We wrote a business plan. And because it was under the tax ID of the church, we had to present it to the church, to the elders of the church. They bought into it. We brought it to Presbytery and got a grant. So that's how we were able to start it up. And
it makes it sound easy, right?
Oh, yeah, you just really simplified all those months of labor. So just give us a little bit of what are the unique classes that you offer and services?
So we offer mental health services. I'm a coach, a certified professional coach. So obviously we offer that as well.
Right.
Yoga, we have yoga classes 7 days a week.
Wow.
And
a lot of studios don't have them every day.
No. Yeah.
Right. And so we offer different kinds. So we offer Iyengar, restorative, and Hatha. We have some really talented teachers. We made it through COVID, and where a lot of studios did not. And so
That
I'm
is
very
true.
grateful
Mhm.
Yeah.
for that. But we were also lucky to have some of the backing of the church. They really stood by us, where a lot of faith communities, for the things that we do, may not have been so quick
Okay.
to. So we do a family constellations workshop, which is very healing. We have a Reiki share every Monday night. And you can get individual Reiki there as well. And the woman who runs it, Linda Suda, I cannot say enough about. She's amazing. She also does ancestral work with people if you're interested. There's so many layers of things that happen there and has evolved through 11 years. And it's been 11 years of trying to figure it out, right? And so by that I mean is that even after 11 years, there's times I still not sure what's going to take and what's not. And it's about throwing everything against the wall and see what sticks, right? So last Friday night, we had a sourdough bread baking class. Went great. We had about 20 people attend that. In December, we're going to do a goat's milk soap making class. So we really do try to be diverse. And we have practitioners that have been with us since we opened our doors. Which I think that says a lot about our community. And I have a practitioner now who just came back. She taught a class from the very beginning, had young kids, so she stopped teaching for a while, and she just came back and is starting a new class in January. So, and Carol Cook, one of our yoga teachers who teaches 3 days a week there, and isn't it quite an inspiration to so many? She said just yesterday, she said to me, she goes, the energy in here is incredible. And that's the feedback we get from so many people. The Reiki share, I went Monday, I try to go as often as I can. I always sleep well that night. So it's so important. But the energy in the room is just incredible.
So speaking of energy, even as you're talking about the center, it makes me want to go there. I don't know how the audience feels, but you light up as you talk about the different practitioners. So it just, that's the selling point. So I just have to ask this question though. Is it, are your fees based like regular, like if I was to go to a yoga studio and take a class, is it $25 or is it a little bit more reasonable?
It's a little more reasonable. And all our practitioners are on sliding scales. When we started the Wellness Center, the biggest thing, and for me and everybody there, was people need support and they need places to safe spaces to go and get that. Nobody should go through life's challenges by themselves. So we're able to be a little more reasonable. So we really try to be. But in the same token, we do pay rent to the church. It is a business and we have to be mindful of that as well. And it's a small nonprofit. We've been fortunate with grants and fundraising. We did a concert this year that went so well, and we're actually doing another one next March 22nd. So those type of events are really helpful for us, but the importance of putting people first is what it's all about.
It's so true.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And
putting people
first. Everyone putting people first.
I learned that that was my mom's mantra. That's who I learned it from. And she was always, you put people first and everything else will work out.
And you know what? When Cindy and I first met you through a Zoom call, because we were referred to the center, we were looking things up, and the first thing we said was like, oh my God, this lady, look at her energy. We said, she's good energy. We have to meet her. And then we saw something that you even had like a class with a medium. And we were thinking like, that's so interesting. The Wellness Center is having a medium class.
That's church. That's involved with the church.
Like, how does that work? So you're still running those classes, right?
So we had a medium.
Sessions, yes.
Yeah. So we had a medium very steadily every other month. And he just moved to Kentucky. Wonderful, wonderful man, Rich Bracconi. I can't say enough. And we went through COVID together because we were one of the first ones to let people come inside. And so he literally was with us every other month. We sold out every other month. But what I am going to say is, and medium is in the church. We hold the event in the church. How many churches would allow you to do that?
Exactly.
That's,
That's
I mean, that was what I was thinking when you told us about it.
It's a testament to who
is.
this community is.
Exactly.
You know, and so somebody on my board, when it went to, because it had to go to the elders of the church, and she said to me, she was a longtime member, and she said, if anybody has anything to say, you tell them to come to me, because it's all about healing. And
I love that.
That's
it's
what
all about healing.
this
And people need that
is
so
so
much.
many words of wisdom
About.
are coming from your mouth, Maryann.
But and I witnessed in the time that he was with us, the amount of healing that I witnessed every night was incredible. And I get emails from family saying, you don't know what this did for us. So I went on the hunt once I found out Rich was moving. And so I went on the hunt for a new medium. And I'm so happy to say that Linda Shields will be joining us next March, and she's the Jersey Shore medium. And so she has quite a following. And for anybody listening, because I know sometimes people hear medium and they're funny about it, or it's just not their thing. And I understand that. Or they say, one of the big thing is they look everything up before they meet you, right?
Yeah.
Well, when
They
the
Google
medium,
you.
when we hire a medium, I take the reservations. So they literally have nobody's name when they walk into that room cold.
And you have a lot of people that come.
We have
right?
a lot of
Yeah.
people, and we sell out every time. And I don't even know everybody's name, because say you sign up for 3 friends and it's just in your name.
Right.
So it really is, and the details they come up, it's unbelievable. And again, it's all about the healing.
I love that.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So let's transition that into your work prior to the Wellness Center. You know, tell us about your experience, interviewing for the Peace Corps, and actually with your work in hospice.
So I had been laid off of a job. And so at that point, it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I didn't want to stay in the business world. I knew I wanted to do something, social services. And I was always intrigued by the Peace Corps and the work that's done there. So I was like, what the heck? I'll let me see if I can pull it off, right? Because I owned a home. I wasn't sure if I would be able to do it. So I did. I went through the interview process. It's quite a process. And I qualified for community development or business development. Those were the 2 areas. Unfortunately, at the time, my mom had got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I couldn't leave. I just couldn't. I had to stay in care for her. So what we did was we put my application on hold for a year, and in the hopes that maybe something would change and I would be able to go. But it just didn't happen. So I had to let that go. And that's okay,
There's
and
always someday.
It's right. You never know. Or you know what? We're doing that kind of work here already.
We're
already
doing like you've created a little
Peace Corps.
Community
Yes.
Corps.
Yeah.
So
we're already doing that work, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
Right. So end of life has always been a fascination for me. I lost a good friend when I was in my 20s and of breast cancer, and I didn't feel in my 20s, I didn't feel like a great friend to somebody who was dying, right? And in your 20s, we're not supposed to be dying,
Yeah.
But it always stuck with me, and it was like, I have to get better at this, because this is part of life, right?
Most people fear it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. People don't know what to say, so they just avoid the person. And, and I even saw that with my mom, with Alzheimer's, people avoided.
Definitely.
They don't know
her.
what to say.
They didn't know what to say. And
wanna
meanwhile,
say
the shame of
anything
it is she kept her personality and
Yeah.
she kept her disposition. And we were really fortunate with that. So I looked into hospice, and you can volunteer to be a companion. So that's what I did. So I just went and I listened, and I got people's stories, people that I would have never met otherwise. And for me, that's fascinating for me, And so I had a gentleman he was a photographer for, I think, Look magazine, which I'm showing my age now,
Look
right?
magazine.
I'm right there with you.
And he was actually at the John F. Kennedy murder trials. And how cool was that? to
For him to actually
wow,
talk to you
act-
about that.
Yes, to actually hear that story. First, somebody who was there firsthand. I would have never, my paths would have never crossed him, So, there was one example. And then I had this interesting woman. She was an artist. She knew she was a good artist. We'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And she, it's like you learn how to talk to people, right? You learn how. And she just loved to give it to me, right? She loved to push buttons. And so I started giving it back, right? And so even to the point where she'd say to me, you're going to get Alzheimer's. You're going to get Alzheimer's. Your mother has Alzheimer's. You're going to get Alzheimer's. Like, this is right. And it would be like, no, I'm not. And we'd go back and forth. And every time I think when I'm leaving, she's going to say, don't come back. Because
she's kind of
she'd
mean
be
to
like,
you.
when are you coming?
Yeah.
When are you coming?
See you next
coming
week.
next week? Because I want you back.
Yeah.
So it was a lesson in, you can't talk to everybody the same way, and you figure out how they're going to respond. And so as tough as sometimes that could be, she was delightful in her own way. And she actually gave me a reproduction of art, and she regretted it, which was really interesting, right? So she was like, okay, take this, and this is where you're going to go, and you're going to get it framed, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. So I saw her the next time. She goes, did you do it? I said, yeah, I got it framed. I went to Michael's, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. You got to give that back to me. You didn't do it the way.
You didn't do it the right way.
I didn't do it the right way. And I was like, I'm not giving it back to you. It's framed and sitting in my house, and I love it. So no, I'm not giving it back to you.
That's wonderful.
The shame of it is that she had just been evaluated by the doctor, and she actually could have gone another 8 or 9 months, and she fell down the steps and hit her head and passed away. So she didn't die of her disease, but she was, I'll always remember, I'll never forget her,
No.
So, and again, I would have never met her otherwise. And my time at hospice really prepared me. Also, I became a caregiver for a childhood friend of mine. We had been friends since we were 4 and 6, and then she was coming to end of life, and a couple of us jumped on board. But my time at hospice helped me navigate that better. And I was with her when she took her last breath, and it helped me navigate my parents' end of life as well. So it was invaluable. It was really invaluable. And as much as hard as it is to lose people, when you get attached, right? And it's hard to lose them, but the good outweighs the bad by so much. And hospice is so good. They had a chaplain that would check in and make sure that you're processing everything and make sure you're okay.
So important.
Yes.
So important, right? And also knowing, so for me, walking the boards at the beach is a big thing for me. And knowing when I need to do that and how important it really is.
You're answering some of our questions.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you, how do you deal with the sadness of
No,
that?
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Because like you said, like when you were a young person in your 20s, you didn't know how to, you were even thinking about that. But I can see people now going, oh my gosh, hospice is a wonderful place, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit with someone while they take their last breath. So I was also profoundly sad. So you're meeting these wonderful people and having these great experiences, but how do you process the sadness that comes with it?
So yeah, again, I talk about it, and I have my own coach that I work with, because the truth of it is, how can I bring people farther than I am? My work has to continue.
Yes.
Right. So there's some of that. And again, there's exercise for me, walking the boards. Listening to books I've always been a big reader, but in the last year, I've started listening to them, and I'm loving it. And it's such an escape. I have a 40-minute drive to work, and it's wonderful. I pull into my parking lot at work, and it's like, I don't want to get out. I need to know what's happening next, But it's such an escape, and not light books either, but just being in it somewhere else for a while.
It's a little escape.
It's the escape of it, and I'm really fortunate. I have a really good support system in friends and family, and So not everybody has that. And again, one of the reasons we do what we do at the Wellness Center is to give everybody that space to come and just say whatever,
Right.
So,
So that kind of your great segue into the next area that we're going to talk about, which is the fact that you're a certified life coach. But I think that work with hospice has really prepared you to be a life coach. Let's face it, there's only one thing that we're all sure of, right? That we are all going to die. We just don't know when it's going to happen.
right.
But it is part of life,
Right, impermanence.
and I feel as though most people are not accepting of death.
Right.
So this is actually a great cornerstone for being a life coach. To me, anyway, it just makes so much sense. It obviously does to you as well. So anyway, so tell us about being a certified life coach. What's that like? How
what
many
do you
times,
do? People may not even know what that is.
Yeah, they don't know what it is. Tell us what it is. Like, how many times do you see people?
What are they coming in to talk about?
So, coaching is about going forward. The difference with coaching and therapy is going back. Coaching is more going forward, setting goals, how to attain them, and setting a plan. I've been getting a lot of people in life transition, whether it be retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Since COVID, divorce has become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's always been a thing.
It's always been a thing. Yes, but I know more about the system now than I ever
you ever did before.
More divorces because of COVID. Okay.
Yeah, but I not because I think it was a matter of now all of a sudden I'm spending all this time and all the things that we were able to pretend weren't happening. Yeah. We have to accept are happening. Mm-hmm. And anybody I've ever helped with divorce are couples that really tried, and it just didn't work. Okay. Or one wouldn't go for therapy because the other one is the one with all the problems. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lot of people, again, retirement. There's been people in retirement where now all of a sudden they didn't plan, like, what am I going to do? And now they're sitting in front of the TV all day and they don't want to do that.
They don't have a purpose.
Giving them back purpose, helping them figure that out. People who've had trauma, grief. Grief is a big one, and not just losing a person, but losing a job, losing relationships. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways. Mm-hmm. Grief seems to be the underlying of so many things. We don't think that necessarily, but it really is. It really is. So a lot of grief. Empowering women is become a big thing as well, and it's so important that our young girls know that how strong they are and what they can accomplish and what they can do, and it's okay to be successful and powerful and reach for what you want.
So what's the average age is there what's the age range, let's say that you're seeing
that I'm
as a
seeing
life coach?
Probably, I mean, I've had some younger, but usually somewhere 50 to 70.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
But it's so important. Are you taking new patients?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And how often? So how often would you see them? Once a week? Like, how does that work?
Depends on the situation. Mm-hmm. Most people, it's every couple weeks, maybe
probably
even
give
3
them
weeks
to
give them a chance. Yes.
Give them a chance to try things.
They have to accomplish, and so you have to give them time to do that. But
and let me ask you this,
sure.
So, do people take your suggestions and actually do them? Because this is a frustration with Jen and I that...
Well, she's saying they have to move forward.
Yes, I know. So I understand. So they're there because they want to move forward.
Right.
Are they doing the work?
I find most coaching clients do.
Okay.
Because they're coming there to do it.
And they just invested money.
Right.
In this.
To do it.
Yeah. And if you give her an assignment or a goal and 3 weeks later you haven't done it, why are you going to come back?
Right.
Exactly. Right. We know that, but it's just...
Right. Yeah. But some people do. They will come, well, I can't. And I do have a master's degree in counseling and as well. So sometimes I'll take, we'll try to figure out what's the resistance. what's the resistance
Yeah.
there? And, but for the most part, I would say that people, again, they're there because they want to be there. So it's different than the person forced into therapy, right?
Well, that never works. We know that.
Yeah.
Right.
That never works.
No, it does not.
It does not work.
Yeah, let's ask the therapist.
You gotta have to help yourself. But, well, when we were trying to talk to you about, what you actually do for the center, it seems like you have to do an awful lot. Like, you could be easily a multitasker, which we know is not great, but probably what you're doing, you have to do so many things during the day. So how are you managing all of your responsibilities that you have to do for the center and the church? And and who do you draw your strength from?
So, yeah, there is a lot.
Because there's only one director, right?
Right. I'm the
That's
director.
you.
And so the good thing is how we work it at the center is that the facilitators, they all rent space. So I'm the only one on payroll at this point. And so they rent space, they run their classes, and they pay me rent. So that's really helpful.
So they're in charge of collecting the money for their class.
Yep.
The only thing they're responsible to you is
Pay the rent.
So you don't actually schedule either.
No.
They schedule.
Well, they schedule with me.
With you. I see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense.
And so I manage the schedule. I manage the programming, the marketing. I thank God I have a young woman who's going to take over some of the marketing right now. So I'm really grateful for that because it's really not my thing, honestly.
We get it.
Too old.
Yeah.
Let's just say it the way it is.
You have to love that.
Right? You do, right?
You do.
And
people do.
Yes.
You love it.
And
that's
she
why
does.
there's a job.
Yep.
For
And
that.
she'll do in 5 minutes what would take me an hour to do. So I'm really grateful for her to be doing that, for taking that over. But so for me, it's budgeting, and it's we have to have board meetings, usually monthly board meetings we have, because all the programming has to be approved by the board. And I'm really, really fortunate that I have a really good board and they trust me. And I would not, because they know I would never do anything to damage the reputation of the church. We're under the church's tax ID. It's us. We have a wonderful preschool as well, Sand Hills Preschool,
Wow,
and Grace Presbyterian Church. And the church, interestingly enough, talk about a church who buys into this, right? So when I started there, it was Community Presbyterian, and they merged with another church. So they became Grace, and with that came money to build a new building. So they knocked down the sanctuary, which was just a building used once a week. And they were like, we're not doing this. We need a community building. So they built a building that all the pews are movable. Everything's movable. There's a commercial kitchen. And so like our jazzercise program in the mornings is in that building, is in the church, in the fellowship hall of the church. So there's been such a buy-in with all the entities that to be part of this team, because I like working as part of a team more than individually. So it's really a good thing. I have a wonderful boss that I report to who's really supportive. So I'm grateful for that. But my strength, and I'm going to go back to my mom. I know she's why I do this work. She showed me, she didn't have to talk about it. She did it. She led by example, and she was a stay-at-home mom for the most part, but she volunteered all these places, Head Start, Upper Room, all kinds. And so doing this work was just part of who we were growing up. So that's where my strength comes from. She dealt with everything head on, anything emotional, anything happening. It was all dealt with head on. So I learned from the best.
So
great.
You it sounds like this is like a model for what churches, because I mean, let's face it, I think that churches are probably suffering a little bit from people not attending church anymore. But
not coming.
to make it a community that offers all these other things, now all of a sudden I'm in a yoga class and I'm talking to somebody. Oh, did you go to the sermon or whatever? I mean, it's a possibility that it brings.
Yes.
It's a community
Yeah.
that. Do you find that happens? That people are more apt to join the church because
or even
of this,
a church function.
Yeah,
Like, you might come to the Reiki class and go, oh, you're doing this?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come to that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a lot. You don't get a lot of members because again, just as you said, churches
they're
are
allowed
not
to.
thriving.
Right.
Oh yes. Well, the other thing is what's important to know, because people got stuck on too when we first started out. Oh, you have to be Presbyterian to go
Right.
to the wellness center or the preschool. No, you don't even have to be Presbyterian to go to the church. Like there is no.
Yeah, I like that.
That
I like
this
that,
is
too.
why I resonated towards this
Right.
community, right?
Right.
So it
It's
seems
not
like all are welcome.
right.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
are welcome. It's not a community where they tell you what to believe. You find your way,
Yeah.
and it's all okay, and
What a unique place.
Yeah.
the
it really
people,
is.
yes. And it's true. I know it's so hard to believe for so many.
I would like it not to be a unique place.
I know. I
But
would
it
like you
is.
to create
Another
this
one.
model and write about it so that other churches, synagogue,
Could
whatever,
do this.
Could do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, it
actually
just
have a
makes sense.
church right now that I'm talking to. They're picking my brain
Yay!
There we go.
because they attended a
Next
workshop.
job for you, consultant.
Yep.
They attended a workshop. We got a grant. We didn't. Somebody I know got a grant to do these workshops through the South Brunswick Health Department.
Okay.
And so, but they rented our space to do the grants. So this pastor attended the workshops and then got in touch with me. It's like, can I pick your brain? Can we meet? Can I pick your
See,
brain?
it's happening.
So you never know. That's my whole thing in everything is right. You plant seeds, you put things out there, and you hope it grows, and you never know what's going to come out of it.
Yes, you just stay open to more possibilities.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
sounds great.
And even when things go wrong, you just stick with it. And when the wellness center, we always joke when the wellness center does a function, something's going to happen.
Because
It's
it
just the
always
way
does.
it
Always
is.
Something
does.
always
right?
happens.
It just is, and you just deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
So
So this is, we just so the audience knows, we always kind of give, we find out some information. We know some of the people that come on here, and we formulate some questions that we give them ahead of time so they can kind of like think about it. But then there's questions that we didn't give them.
Yes, that's true.
So these are some of those questions.
Okay.
So how do you view failure?
how do I view failure? So good question.
Mhm.
I feel it is is something that not to stay there, but to learn from it
Mhm.
and not repeat it. I'm not going to lie. There are sometimes it's harder to not go there than other times, but I really do try to get past it and again, not repeat it.
Well, I think too, Maryann, like from what you've talked about your experiences, you just said, you were heart set on joining the Peace Corps, but then life happened and you had to take another path. So instead of wallowing in the sorrow of not being able to go, you embraced the whole idea of hospice. And then this actually led to where you are right now.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
they're all
that-
lessons.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is it a lesson of failure? In a way, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. In disappointment, which is
It wasn't
be
really
considered
failure.
It wasn't a
Yeah,
failure, but
you
it's a
had to pivot.
disappointment.
It was
But people, it's a
disappointment.
pivot, and that's what people, have to
Yeah.
learn to do, and it's hard.
Right.
It's hard to pivot.
Because
It
a lot of
is.
times people fail and then they're stuck.
Yes.
They can't see where to go next.
Yeah.
Yep. And I am fortunate, right? Look where I work. So if I need help, who can I call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Ghostbusters.
Right,
Yes.
right.
No, you have plenty.
There's
of,
always
plenty of
there's
support.
plenty of people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, what do you think are your 3 most important strengths? And I want you to just we know just from
Don't
talking to you, you have
overthink it.
many strengths, but 3 most important strengths.
I would say compassionate,
Mhm.
empathetic, and supportive.
Okay.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
Very good.
No question. That
Yep.
kind of
Can't do this
comes
work
right
without it.
from your. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. So, what's going well in your life?
Well, the wellness center is going well. I think having a balance of life and work is so important, and sometimes I don't do that well, but I seem to be getting better at it.
What do you mean you don't do that well? Yeah, you knew I was going to ask you
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Come on, you can't just drop something like that and think
Oh,
we're not
come
going to jump
on.
on it.
Come on.
It's going well,
Sometimes you
but
work
it's not
too
going
much.
well.
Sometimes you work too much.
Yes.
Right. But
And is that imposed by someone else?
no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
It's
that would
you.
be me.
It's you.
Part of it, a small nonprofit, and the work we do is very valuable. But
Mhm.
when you're a one person, sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot, and that's why hiring this marketing person will take some of that off of me, and it will be really helpful and make it easier.
Yep.
So that I'm not always thinking, okay, did I put that on the schedule? Did I, what's the website? Blah, blah, blah.
Help keep you organized.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah, it's good to
Absolutely.
have another a sidekick for
Yes.
sure. So, is there a ritual that you do daily? So, basically, what we're asking you about is your own self care, but we are big proponents of rituals.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So I journal. I do journal.
love journaling.
Sometimes I'm better, and sometimes not.
What
I
time
do-
of
I
day
do
do you
meditate.
journal? What time day do you journal?
Morning.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you do meditate, all right?
I do meditate.
And when do you do
Absolutely. That it depends. Sometimes morning, because sometimes I do walk meditation when I walk the boards.
Good.
So,
Yep.
or
That's good.
and if I don't have time to drive to the beach, I'll walk by my house and I'll do walk meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And that works very well for me.
that? Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And that's, I try to let people know you could do that, because people get
Yes.
stuck on, I can't sit there. I can't shut my mind off. And it's like, okay, well, you could keep moving and you can meditate.
Can let it
There's
go
so many
that way.
different types of
Yes.
meditation that,
Yep.
there's,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Good.
Well, so how can people get in touch with you if somebody were thinking, okay, she sounds perfect for me to be my life coach, or if they wanted to contact the center and say, like, let me look up the schedule of classes, like how can people find you?
So you can go on our website, sandhillswellness.com. You can email me, sandhillswellness@gmail.com, or call 732-419-3551. And please do. Just even if you're not sure, come and pick my brain, get some information, check out our website. And everything's always changing. So if you look it up today, doesn't mean you're going to know everything that's going to happen next week. So keep going back and take a look.
So do you
Wonderful.
do, I'm just thinking about this as you said this, do you do life coaching through Zoom, or is it basically in person, or do you do both?
Do you offer both?
I offer both.
You
Okay.
offer both. Okay,
Yes.
so that's good
That's
to
good
know
to
too.
know.
For
Yes,
people.
I
somebody's
absolutely
far.
offer
Because if they
both.
connected with you and then they're like, oh, she's too far, Kendall Park. I can't
Nope.
Yeah, I can't get there.
We will definitely do Zoom.
Okay.
The only thing I don't do is phone, but I'll do.
Because I got to see you.
Right. I
need to see.
That's what I feel like too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
So is there anything that we didn't bring up? And I know like we still have some questions that we didn't tell you about.
Oh, yeah.
However, is there anything a topic that you wanted to share that we didn't get to as we're getting to the last 5 minutes?
I think we've covered it.
Okay.
So
Good.
what-
Okay. All right.
All right. So Cindy has
So
some
what
other
else do you
questions.
have?
All right. What else do I have?
Go
All
ahead.
right. So this
She's
is
not
based-
afraid.
Right.
Yeah. She's no longer afraid.
Right,
That's really
right.
what it is.
Yes.
Is
That's
there something in your life that you would like to change?
We ask
Wow.
everybody that.
Okay.
It's a wow question.
That's a wow question. Something that I'd like to change that I could share here. Is
No,
that-
you don't have to tell
share it.
us.
It's a
So
yes
it's
or
a
no.
yes or no.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Boy, she was pretty adamant
Yeah.
about that too. So what's holding you back?
Me.
Okay. And what is one thing that you can do today to move forward?
You stumped me.
Well, that one you have to answer. What's one little thing that you could do? A small thing. Doesn't have to be life-changing big step.
In the direction
In the
towards
direction
this thing
towards
that you wanna
whatever
change.
how can you get past yourself? Because you're holding yourself back
Mhm.
to get to whatever it is that you want to change.
Okay. So do the research to find out what are the steps I need to take to to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
Okay.
There
so
you go.
When you leave here today, is that what you're going to do?
I have to go to work. I'm sorry.
We're going to
but-
check in on you.
We're going to
Did
check
you
in
do
on
it?
you.
Did
Yeah,
you do your steps?
We know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. So, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Mindset Connection podcast. We hope that you found Maryann as wonderful and inspiring as we did. And please reach out to the center and get some information on the amazing classes that they have. Or if you are looking for a life coach and need some direction, please contact Maryann and make an appointment. So we hope that you'll tune in next time for another episode of stories of a change maker doing great things in the space of mental health and wellness. If you would like to know more about Cindy or about me, you can go to our websites. Mine is www.mindsetnj.com. Cindy's is www.mindfulnessconnection.com. On social media, I am at Mindset Jen. Cindy is at Mindfulness Connection. We have a YouTube channel at The Elevation Principles. Our book, The Elevation Principles, is also available on Amazon. We did record over the summer an audiobook version that should be out sometime December, January. So stay tuned for that. And also, we want to let you know that this podcast is recorded, produced, and edited by an amazing team here at Black Swallowtail Studios in Eatontown. So if you like the sound of this program or the way that it looks, please give them a look on their websites or social media. So thank you.
All right. And so we always end every episode by saying, remember to pause, breathe, and then respond. Thank you.
Thank you.